Defiance. The Defiance are one of the factions in our game. As you can see, there are 3 races to choose from. If you had chosen the other faction, the Guardians, there would be 3 different races. There are a total of 6 playable races. After you've chosen your race, you get to choose your calling. We have 4 callings: Warrior, Rogue, Mage, and Cleric. But there's a lot of customization available within each calling, and I'll be showing you that in detail later. After you've chosen your calling, you get to decide what your character is going to look like. As you can see, the level of quality is something that you don't usually see in MMOs. Even though Billy, who is playing the game for me here today, has made a character, we're actually going to go in with a pre-made character that's a little bit higher level to allow us to show you more of the game. We also have a few GM abilities we're going to be using. Here we are in the Shadowlands. Shadowlands stands at the edge of the plane of death, and I'll be telling you a lot more about the planes in a little bit. Up in the sky you can see Telara, your ultimate destination. However, you can also see that it's in a great deal of trouble. It is being torn apart by the dragon god Regulus. Coming out of Telara you can see the soul stream. These are the souls of the dead from the wars and the trouble that is going on in Telara. Here in the Shadowlands, the Defiance are using an ancient and dangerous technology invented by the F many years ago to pull souls out of the soul stream, reconstitute them as ascended Telarans, which is you, the player. You get your abilities and your power from the souls of these past warriors. After the player has finished the starting experience, they'll find themselves here if they're a Defiant. This is Free March. We're now actually on Telara itself. Telara is protected by a ward that was put in place by the gods many years ago. However, the problem is that the ward is beginning to crack and break. And where those cracks happen, rifts can occur from any of the planes of power. There are 6 planes of power: life, death, earth, air, water, and fire. I'll be showing you a rift event in a little bit. In the distance you can see the capital city of the Defiance, Meridian. And we're actually going to use a GM ability right now to get over to Meridian. And I'll point out these loading screens that you're seeing. You would not actually encounter these in the game. Telara is a fully seamless, integrated world. The loading screens are just purely because we're using our GM abilities to teleport great distances across the world. Here in Meridian is where the Defiance are researching the technology I spoke about. However, it is also a big social center for players. Any players that are used to MMOs would find a lot of the amenities that they are familiar with here: crafting hall, auction house, bank, traders, merchant. All of the things you come to expect in an MMO are here in Rift Plains of Telara, along with some unexpected dynamic content that I'll be showing you in a minute. Before we go and do that, I'd like to go out to the training yard and tell you a little bit about the class system. As I mentioned to you before, you get your power from the souls of past warriors on Telara. Here is where you actually get to attune the soul to play the way you want to play. The calling you chose will define what armor you can use, it will define what play mechanic you have, but within that, you can change and tune your character to be exactly how you want it to be. As you progress through the game, you'll find that you are not limited to one soul. You can in fact unlock slots to slot other souls that you can find and collect through the game. The ship we're planning to have 8 souls within each calling, and you can choose any 3 at any time to mix and match to fit your playstyle. For example, here Billy has the Nightblade going. This is a high DPS stealth rogue character. However, he also has Ranger slotted. This gives him some abilities that are not commonly seen. Maybe he's a little jealous of the Elementalist and his pets. Here the Ranger has some pet class abilities as well. So Billy can absolutely make the class the way he wants to play the game. In many games I've played in the past, I'll often find myself deep into the game, level 30 or 40, realizing I made a mistake way back at Character Create and chose a class I didn't really like. I'm either stuck with that class or I need to start over. With our system, you can come in and change the way your class plays and continue playing. Okay, Billy, let's move on. So I'm now going to show you Stonefield and some of our dynamic content. We are further into the game here. You can see that our artists have put a lot of care into the environment features. They spend as much time on the mobs that you are going to fight as they do on the player characters. And I'm going to have Billy try and find me a tear. As I mentioned, the ward-protected Telara is beginning to break and crumble. And where that happens, tears can form, which Billy is going to head towards right now. These are dynamic events. They can happen anywhere in the world. If the tear is left alone, it will burst open eventually. One of the planes will start pouring forth monsters into the world. This is something, obviously, that you want to stop. However, Billy can actually take matters into his own hands. If he finds the tear before it is opened, he can force it open himself, taking the fight to the planes. This is a dynamic event. I have no idea what we're going to get when we open this up, so we'll wait and see what that is. Like a life rift. Okay, the plane of life is invading Telara. This is actually happening in the open world. This is not an instance. You have not been teleported anywhere. Players can see these events from miles away. They're designed to draw players together for social gameplay. Everything has changed here. Sound has changed. The monsters have changed. The very environment has changed. Gameplay has actually changed. There's a new UI on the top here that's showing Billy what he needs to do to complete this stage. If he completes this stage, he can unlock further stages. The more stages he unlocks, the more fat loot he can get. For those of you that play MMOs, we all know it's about the fat loot. I would like to point out, though, that Billy is earning his loot through a contribution system. However many players actually come here, they'll never be able to take away what Billy earns. Even if he were to be very brave and take on some horrible boss in the rift and die, this UI element is stuck to him now. It will come with him. He'll be able to collect the loot that he has earned. Whatever happens to him from now on, he can never lose it. It's also, I'd like to point out that this is a fairly low-level rift. The things that Billy needs to do here are pretty much tank and spank. As he progresses through the game, he starts working in higher-level rifts. The objectives of the stages become more complex. So ultimately, he is pretty much fighting raid-level encounters out in the open world. The ultimate objective here is to seal the rift, which will end up with the best loot. But these are soloable events as well. You can certainly play them solo. However, the more players you get, the further you can progress. Finally, in the demo, I'd like to show you one of our instances. As I've mentioned, Telara is a world that should be both familiar and strange to players of MMOs. One of the familiar aspects is the idea of dungeons and instances. We have several dungeons and instances already up and going. This one here, the Deep Strike Mines, is one that is built for a single group of 5 players. Billy and a few of his friends would come here and face a much higher level of challenge, discover the story of what's going on here. The Endless Court have invaded. They are the cult of death, so the place is overrun with the undead. Seeing as it's not a good idea to come into instances on your own, Billy has made himself invisible to the monsters in here. This is a GM ability. However, I'd like to point out that just like in the open world where we have dynamic content, there is a dynamic aspect to these instances as well. Billy is level 25 at the moment. He's coming in here, he will encounter a certain level of monster, unlock a story, discover what is going on in the Deep Strike Mines. If he returns here later with his friends at, say, a much higher level, level 50, he would discover that there was more of the mine has opened up to him. There's a higher level of challenge. There's more to do. So both out in the open world and in the instances, We use our technology to deliver dynamic content to the player. The idea being that if you are going over areas that you have traveled many, many times, there's always something new. Always some new challenge to face, always something new to discover. So that is Rift Plains of Telara. I'm Simon Ffinch, this is Billy Shaughnessy. We're both developers on the project and are available for questions. And please visit our website, riftgame.com, for more information, forums you can join. And I do encourage you to go and check out End of Nations, massively multiplayer real-time strategy game, first of its kind. Thank you very much.